Males who got sexually harassed, what's your story? I was at a bar that was my regular watering hole, and I was bent over the counter talking to the bartender. It was loud as fuck, and we needed to hear each other. I have hair halfway down my back, and was bent over with my shoulders rounded, and half hidden under my hair. Some fucknut decided to grope me, thinking I was a woman. He grabbed my ass, and rammed his fingers into my taint, right where one would expect to find a vagina. He didn't. I was not amused, but he nearly shat himself when the woman he groped turned around, and was a 6'3" very angry man. I'll let the bouncer know, and he kept an eye on him, and ended up throwing him out later. I was at a party, and, later in the evening, the hostess and her friend pulled me to the floor, and tried to unzip my pants, to measure my penis. One of them had a ruler. It was actually a struggle, to break away from them. They thought it was funny, I did not. Edit, this was back in the late 80s. A different time. I never gave a thought of being sexually harassed or assaulted, but I did feel kind of humiliated and uncomfortable after. They were part of my circle of friends. I was pretty young, and they were a bit older. It was a struggle to break away without hurting them. I was concerned about being seen as the aggressor. Both of their husbands were there, but I don't think they knew this went down. There were a lot of people around, but it was kind of dark in the house by this time. It's been over 30 years and I haven't seen them in a long time, but I still remember their names. I was like 5, 6 years old and some relatives had visited us. With those relatives was one of my aunts that was like 40 years old. Long story short, she asked me if my dick has grown, and I didn't say anything, so she put her hand in my pants and touched it. I don't remember my reaction then, but I remember everyone laughing for some reason. Edit, I wasn't expecting this to get so many comments because that's my first comment. Also, this isn't a big deal, at least for me, and I don't feel like a victim, but I know that's sexual harassment and my siblings freaked out when I told them. Also, she was a step aunt, not an aunt. Sorry for my English. Also, I'm a Greek, not a nation. Tired and stranded at Denver airport as an 18-year-old trying to fly home from college. The airport was nearly completely empty, and it was in the middle of the night. I was exhausted and fell asleep on a bench, only to wake up to an airport janitor with his hand in my pants. I immediately sat up and pushed him away. He was smiling and saying something in an Eastern European accent. I left the area and went to the other side of the terminal, but I was so tired I fell asleep again and again. Woke up to the same creep groping me. This was in the 1980s, before ubiquitous cameras, and there were no cops around. Not that I would have been able to tell. I was embarrassed and traumatized. I can still see his creepy smile, and I was so angry and afraid. Had a girl in social study rub her chest in my face while I was sitting up against a wall and couldn't move away. I tried to push her off me, which of course made her laughing friends tell the teacher I grouped her. I hate that girl, and no one's figured out why, even though there was a classroom full of people who saw it. Edit, I'm not saying no one figured out that she was assaulting me. Everyone just seemed to forget about it, as if this wasn't a big deal. Girls can be perverts as well. My freshman year in high school, a girl asked for my help in algebra. She grabbed my hand and put it on her pussy for me to play with. I wasn't harassed, but it did catch me the fuck off guard. I've literally had to explain to people that men don't just want sex all the time, and just because you want it doesn't mean they have to have sex with you, even if I'm in a relationship. If I say no, fuck off, it means no, and for you to fuck off. When I was younger, a number of my male classmates started dry humping me for fun. I was a very small kid, so I really couldn't do anything to push them back. After every turn, each of them would stand up and show their bulging erections. I'm a straight guy, by the way, and that experience still haunts me to this day. This sounds like a boarding school horror story. A girl from my uni course got her significantly larger friend to come up to me in a club and physically force us together. I tried saying no, and that I didn't want to numerous times, but she ended up kissing me and biting me. I managed to push her off and get out of there, but I really struggle to be around her now. No one else treats it very seriously either. When I was in 6th grade, 2 kids trapped me in the bathroom and made me have oral sex with them. It's something that still messes with me to this day. I couldn't even do anything. They said they would kill me if I told anyone. Never got over that. I told my parents and my dad thinks I'm lying for some reason. He's one of those people who think men can't be raped. Worked behind a bar. One woman in particular always inappropriate, which grew louder the more she came in, and the more she drank. Weirdly it was in front of her husband and daughter, also drunk. She was 50 plus, daughter was 16 to 18. Escalated to physical grabbing, groping and at one point yanking my tie, and pulling me toward her. Luckily the bar taps were too tall and the bar was too wide for her to get close enough to do anything. Also groped in a supermarket once, didn't even see who did it. I don't think I'm even attractive. It was not terribly serious, but was uncomfortable. When I was 19 my boss, a woman in her 40s, was going through a pretty nasty divorce which had its roots in the fact that her husband had been having an affair with a much younger woman. On several occasions, when she and I were the only people left in the office at the end of the day she mentioned that she'd love to fuck some young college guy because it would help her get over the trauma of her husband's cheating. It seemed pretty apparent that she was asking me if I wanted to go bang. It never seemed like a terribly serious issue though, because that was never coupled with any kind of comments about my job security. My interpretation was that she literally just wanted to have some hot sex with a young stud, and I was the only young guy she knew. I always just kind of ignored the comments, or made jokes about it, and then got out of the office as quick as I could. The more serious thing was that I once got passed out drunk at a party. There was a girl at the party who had a crush on me, but I was in no way interested in her. I woke up in the middle of the night to her giving me a hand job. Was at an outdoor concert when a middle-aged woman backed up into me and started dancing and rubbing her ass on my crotch. I backed up and she backed up into me over and over before I told her to stop. I turned to my friend and started talking to him when she basically put me in a headlock and started trying to make out with me. I struggled to get free while my friends laughed and took pictures/videos. Those pictures and videos then got sent around our friend group and I got made fun of for making out with an old fat woman. Edit, to those saying I should ditch those friends. Some I did, some apologized. I'm not one to hold grudges for the most part. I have pretty long hair and this one time I was at a concert and someone smacked my ass from behind. I turned around and the guy saw my beard and turned red in face. Sorry, I thought you were a girl. How in the fuck would me being a girl make this okay? Had to go on a one-night Boy Scout camping trip when I was about 12. None of my friends were able to come, so I didn't have a tent mate, so they stuck me with this older guy. He was around 19 years old, but he was slow, so they let him stay in the scouts and I didn't really know him. About an hour after lights out I wake up to him spooning me with an erection and wandering hands. I kinda just froze hoping he would stop, but after a minute or so I pushed him away and bolted out of the tent. I ended up just pacing around outside the tent for hours till the sun came up. I really wish that hadn't been my first sexual experience. I left the Boy Scouts a few months later. Two situations. I was 16 and working at my second job ever, pizza place, and the manager was 19. She made it clear that if I ever wanted to do anything other than wash pans and dishes, that I needed to service her. I worked at Walmart back in 1991 and there was a much older, 40 plus, woman, I was 20 that would always find ways to rub against me and hint at wanting to give me experience. I had forgotten about both experiences until the #METOO thing hit on Twitter, and women said men had no idea what it was like to be sexually intimidated in the workplace. Bartending, it happens. All sorts of stories, but it comes with the territory, to an extent. I put a stop to it pretty quickly when it crosses a line, and bring in security if it doesn't stop, and have the offender/s escorted out of the bar. Worst instance was at a private event where both of the hosts cornered me in the basement laundry room and tried to take off my cloths. They were grabbing my crotch the whole time and trying to pull out my junk. So, knowing they were both pretty drunk and I can decisively overpower either of them, I de-escalated the situation and defended myself. One of the hosts ended up in the laundry tub. His fat ass was stuck in there after I tossed him, and the other locked into a storage room and barricaded the door with a tool car and shelving. I didn't get paid, but they also didn't have a bartender for the last 3 hours of their party.